Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Good and you?
Good
I'm good, thank
afternoon,
you.
everyone. Um, yeah, we are excited. I'm very excited to hear what Tilesia has to say, having read the short intro or ad for a presentation. I'm really looking forward, and I think with everybody that's joining, I can just imagine that you are also looking forward to hear what she is saying. My name is Jaco Fouché. I'm a director at General Financial Solutions, and it's my privilege to just welcome you, everybody, and then to hand over to Tilesia. Tilesia, you are more than welcome to just introduce yourself a little bit, tell the people what you do, etc. And yes, then the floor is yours. We are really looking forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Yaku. So, this is the part where I introduce myself, and I often say that I used to be an advocate, and then I helped people to get divorced and did a lot of those stuff. And then I started to realize what life is actually about. And now, when people come to see me, say, for example, in a mediator capacity, their divorce is on the rocks because I help them to heal their relationships. And I'm not a good advocate anymore. In fact, I don't do any law anymore. I choose not to do it. I studied full-time psychology and I just went on a healing path of my own. And I'm very passionate about what I'm going to discuss today. And I'm happy that the session will be recorded because I believe that it will be so beneficial for everyone out there. Just to start off with our being, who we are as human beings. As human beings, we are set apart, I believe, from the rest of creation in the sense that we are built tripartite, which means we have three parts to ourselves. That is our body, our soul, and our spirit. So when we show up in a place, wherever, whether it's when we wake up in the morning, when we drive to work, when we have a conversation with our friends or our spouse, our children, when we work and we're busy typing, when we exercise, when we eat, whatever we do, we show up to life presenting ourselves as full human beings in body, in soul, and in spirit. So, just to quickly look at what these parts are, our body is this vessel. So it's the physical body that we were born with. And it's so important to understand that this body that you carry around and that you show up with is the body that hosts the nervous system, which is all of the um, blood vessels, and it's all of the, it's so amazing, all of the cells, all of the organs is inside the body. Unless you've had a heart transplant, you still have the same heart that you had the moment you were actually conceived. The heart is the first part of the body in the womb that starts to become alive, that starts to beat. So you still have the same heart that you had when you were in the womb. It's quite fascinating for me to realize that this body, this nervous system, the blood, look, blood flows and we get new blood continuously. However, the blood vessels, they're still the same. And this is important for where we are going with the conversation in terms of you having this body, the inside of your body that is the same body that you are sitting with today, is the body that was with you in the womb. This is going to become so very important when we start looking at what has happened to you in your life from conception. Because there's a research that has shown that 7 hours after conception, we start to have a cell memory. Our body has memory. So Bessel van der, if you knows him and knows his work, he wrote the very famous book, The Body Keeps the Score, and he talks about the body that stores all of the things, that is almost the storehouse of the things that has happened to us in the past. Physical things, emotional things, spiritual things. Often when we look at the body, and especially from a Bessel van der Kolk point of view, he says that the body is the crime scene. It's almost like the scene of the crime, in the sense that if there was a lot of trauma, the body bears everything that happened in that crime scene. We'll get to that. So that's the body. Just as you are sitting there, wherever you are, and when you listen to this, I want you to become aware of your body and to become aware of the fact that this body has been with you since conception. It's amazing to think, and almost unfathomable, unthinkable, that this body, especially if we've now grown bigger and taller, and some of our men are, they're very strong, and kind of find it difficult to find yourself back as that first cell, that first meeting of the embryo and the seed where they connected, and that you started there. So that's the body, with all of it in the inside and outside. Then the second part of our being with which we show up is our soul. So our soul is our personality, the part that holds our personality. It is our will. It's what we do to a large degree. It's certain behavior and habits. It's our thinking. It's what we think. It's the thoughts we have. And just on this note, thoughts are real. They're real. They're protein molecules. Whenever you have a thought in your brain, there's a protein molecule that actually gets released. So the fact that thoughts are real does not necessarily mean that they are true. I really want us to make that distinction from the onset. And I believe in today's day and age, with all the information out there, I am just basically giving a how to say, not conclusion, in Afrikaans is it opsomming, just putting everything in a nutshell, because this is so second nature by now. We know, we're supposed to know as human beings. And if you don't, then there's a lot of work out there and there's a lot of information out there. Now it has become so basic knowledge that thoughts are real. They're protein molecules. They are substance that gets released in the brain. However, they're not all true. So I can have a thought that's real. The thought may be real. Maybe I had a thought that says, I'm so alone. It may be a real thought, it's there, but it's not the truth, because I'm not alone. I often have to switch off my phone to get away from everybody that wants a bit of me or a piece of me. So our thoughts are there, and we need to start challenging our thoughts and channeling our thoughts in the right direction. Because, and we're taking a deep dive from the onset, our thoughts create our lives. Whatever you think, you become. It's as simple as that, and it is as complex as that, because we have so many thoughts throughout the day. It's almost one of the things we learn to do from the beginning and observe as a child. And then with the observation comes thinking, thinking, thinking. And the thoughts happen often so unconsciously. So unless you become aware of what you are thinking during the day, you will go to bed at night having had thoughts that is just sometimes crazy, wild, out of this world, and thoughts that's just negative, untrue, and absolutely not conducive for where you are going in your life, and that doesn't meet your future self. Your future self is that person that you ultimately have a vision of becoming and want to be for whatever purpose and calling you hold in this life. So it's our responsibility to at night be at a place where we can look back at our thinking, look back at our thoughts and say, those were good thoughts. I liked those. I liked what I thought there. I like the way I thought there. I like the way you're thinking. you'd, you'd be at a very good place when you can go to bed at night and say, I like the way you're thinking. Okay, so our soul also has to do with our emotions, what we feel. And our emotions, also very real, also not always true. However, our emotions are a God-given way for us as human beings to figure out that something is just not right, that something needs attention, that something needs help within us. This whole being of us, the whole body in its entire essence, in its trilogy, I want to say, in body, soul, spirit, this tripartite being of us is designed to flourish and is aimed to have our highest calling in mind, and is developed in such a way that it is an inner, intelligent being that can heal, that has the healing and transformation at the heart of it. That is what our bodies, our soul, and our spirit is all about. It's just a few things that keep us away from this, and it often has to do with where we come from, our community in the past, our environment of the past, our upbringing, and then the beliefs that we formed. So we'll get there. For now, pertaining to emotions, just know this, that your emotions want to show you in the direction of healing and growth. So if you are experiencing emotions that are painful, it wants to directly you to a place where there's an area that needs healing. If your emotions are joyful and, you know, in the sense of, abundance, then your emotions wants to teach you that you are at a good place, and then do more of that. I often say when something feels good and something is working well in your life, when I ask my clients, so what changed? They'd say this. I'd say, oh, well, that works for you. Do more of that. However, when you get to emotions that are painful or that's filled with anger and rage, frustration and irritation and low capacity for people and low tolerance, all of this low energy vibration emotions, then they want to teach you something. And emotions are like little children. They are not going to leave you until you give them attention. So you better start giving your emotions some attention. People say, how do you do this? Well, we'll get to it with the meditation. Don't let the word meditation, keep you in a rut in your mind. I know there's a lot of definitions on meditation, and it can be a religious barrier for some people. Some people feel they're not allowed to meditate. It's something weird. Don't let the word as such keep you from this session. Have an open mind, because you will find towards the end that your meditation is a very personal thing, and it can also be called something like intention or visualization or awareness. I personally love the word attunement, because I love to live in attunement with myself, in attunement with my body, in attunement with my soul, and in attunement with my spirit. So getting back to the soul, and when you're in attunement with your soul, this means that you are in harmony with your thoughts, with your emotions, and ultimately you will be in harmony with what you do, because this is how it works. Cognitive behavioral therapy has taught us that as a man thinketh, so is he. That's a Bible proverb, actually. Cognitive behavioral therapy looked at the thinking and realized that what you think, you feel. And then whatever you feel, you do. This is how we actually create our lives. And this is actually where the challenge comes in. And this is actually where it is so important to get to a place where we are free. And for us to get to a place where we are free and healthy, we need to do some work in our body, in our soul, and in our spirit. So we'll get there to the work. And then our spirit. Our spirit is a very, very intelligent, majestical, beautiful, sacred part of us. Some people will talk about the sixth sense. Some people will talk about the little voice. My mom, I'm Afrikaans, so my mom used to say, jou stemmetjie. Luister vir jou stemmetjie, daai sagte klein stemmetjie. That part of us, that intuition, that intuitive driving force, that part that warns us, don't go here, go here, that part that reminds you, get your keys, that part that actually has been, is, and was already, for me at least, that part that connects to God and has Holy Spirit living inside me, connecting to Holy Spirit inside me and God's spirit in the kingdom realm. So that is the spirit part. There's different parts for other people in terms of that. However, I believe that it is the same for every human being. And if you have ever seen a person that has passed away, that has immediately gone and gave his or her last breath, you will notice that a very big part of them, that life force, is gone. They're not there. They are not there. And that is not the body. And that's also not the soul. It's not the thoughts and the emotions and the behaviors. It's the spirit. It's that part of them that is not on earth anymore, or at least not in the body. So that is how we show up in life. We show up in our body, in our soul, and in our spirit. Can I ask, is there anybody that at this stage has a question? Maybe you'd like to put it in the chat. I'm not sure. Maybe there's somebody that disagrees. That's so welcome. I often tell my parents that they have to become aware with their kids. All emotions are allowed, not all behavior is allowed. So here we say all opinions are allowed. There's nothing in the chat yet, so let's go on. Now you'd maybe ask, Tilesia, now what do we do with this, Because attunement, oh yes, Louis, attunement. So what do we do with this knowledge, We know it now, and where to from here? Now the actual work starts. And again, I bring it back to there's no reason in today's day and age that's overloaded with information that we should be at a place where we are stuck. And if we do find ourselves at a place where we are stuck or unhealthy, either bodily unhealthy in our soul, in our thinking, or in our spirit unhealthy and unaligned, then we need to actually just go back a little bit and start a process of healing. In my own life, I've went through a lot of healing. I've went through a lot of physical, emotional, and spiritual trauma from a very young age. Actually, from even before birth, I had a very traumatic birth, very traumatic. And that set the tone from the onset, where a belief came in, and the belief was, you're not supposed to be here, this is not your place, you don't belong here. And then what you do in life is, because of that belief, that negative false belief that came in, and a door that was opened, you then, as a young girl, at least for me as a young girl, looked in my environment and found the evidence. Brene Brown says, if you want the evidence that you don't belong, you'll find it, something to that effect, And this often happens with all of us. I've noticed, and I've done this work for many years, that a predominant unlimited belief or unreal belief, false perception, whatever you want to call it, that most human beings has is that I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough because of unresolved trauma. And then they would act from that place. So I'll get to this now. I just want to quickly finish what I wanted to say pertaining to what do we do now with the knowledge. Yo, we apply it. I love this one pastor. His name is Vlad. He talks about soap and he says it's not soap that makes you clean. It's not soap. It's not the soap. The soap does not clean you. It is applying it. It's physically using it. It's physically going under the water and rubbing it on your skin and washing yourself with it. And it's the same with the work that we do. The work is to get the new information, to understand where I come from, what is trauma, the different kinds of trauma with a big T, trauma with a small t, how trauma affects the development of the brain, how trauma affects the body and the cells of the body, how trauma affects our beliefs. And then when we realize all of this and we get the information, we start doing the work. And the work has a lot to do with a meditative practice where we will get to. It has work to do, and we have our work cut out for us in terms of body, soul, and spirit. So we'll get to that. Let me go back to the trauma. I just want to see there is something in the chat. I'm making notes. Yes, I'm sure that you'll get the recording. Yes. And then what emotions we feel is where we need to do the work. So true, so true, so true. Okay, let's get back to the trauma. So, say for example, we are born quite whole, free, in alignment, happy, knowing that we can ask, feeling that it is our right to ask, because that's often what babies do, right? They cry and they just want, because they have no problem to ask for help, because innately in our human nature, we are created to ask for help, to ask for assistance, to be at a place where we need our community. And how many times have you maybe found yourself that you can't ask for help? It may seem that you then don't know what you're doing, or you can't ask for help because you don't want to put yourself in that vulnerable place where somebody may say no, or they may not want to help you, or you don't want to feel like a burden. These are all childhood stuff. So as a child, going back to where we were, we are actually whole. We are free. We're in alignment with our true nature that can ask help, that can show up in our full essence, that can be abrupt, that can be angry, that can be noisy, that can cry, that can be tired, that can be joyful, that can laugh, all of it. However, often we are born and a number of things can happen. The variables are, for example, you are born into a family and there's a lot of poverty. I mean, there's not even money for bread for the mother to eat, and you don't have food. Even breast milk is too little. Or you are born in a certain era where there's war. Think about the babies that are currently being born in countries like Iran, for example, or Israel, for example. There are mothers pregnant at this moment, and that has a direct influence. The mother's environment has a direct influence on the unborn child and ultimately the child. So when I studied psychology, it's almost 10 years ago now, when I started studying psychology. I thought to myself, well, my thesis or that transcript you do, is it a script that what I'm going to do is I'm going to do research in terms of a baby, an unborn baby's thoughts and an unborn baby's being, if an unborn baby is affected by the thoughts of the mother. That was something that puzzled me because when I started doing the healing work, I realized that my mother went through a lot of trauma and also quite some abuse from an alcoholic father, and there wasn't a lot of money. So she had quite a few things that she was busy dealing with. And I was wondering back then when I studied psychology, I was wondering, well, what thoughts did she have? And how did the thoughts impact me in her womb? Now, fast forward, almost 10 years later, it's a given. I mean, nobody has to even do research anymore. We know that whatever the mother goes through when she was pregnant, the fetus, the unborn child, feels. And that's why I remind you of what I said from the beginning of this session is that the very same nervous system, your eyes, your heart, your intestines, the very same you was there. And think for a moment, what may you have gone through? Because even though you didn't physically go through it yourself, vicariously, there's in law, oh, you see, it's a good thing I studied law. Now I know this. There's this thing we call vicarious liability. So if you have an employer and their employee at least, and they drove with a car, then you as employer are vicariously liable. So it's almost this vicarious damage that happens to us. So, for example, mothers now in the world that's going through a war, for example, those mothers are transgenerationally um, um, transferring the trauma to the unborn child. So you almost get born already with that trauma in your cells and the unfair disadvantage. And then other variables can include a mother and father that does not want to be pregnant. Maybe it's an illegitimate child. I can't believe we may even call it illegitimate. It's a child that was born out of wedlock. Can you imagine the rejection that already starts there in the womb? It's rejection that you carry with you. So then you get born, and then the rejection is already there. The lie is already there. There's something that has already taken from your freedom, that has already stopped a part of your free-flowing nature. And then and this was what we do as human beings, if you've been exposed to trauma already in the womb, then you look for that evidence, you find it. Your friend doesn't want to give you a piece of herb sandwich at school, but she gives the other girl, then you feel rejected. You see, they don't want me to be their friend. Somebody sends you a WhatsApp and they blue tick you. They read it, but they don't reply. You see, I'm rejected again. And then you start having these emotions, and then the emotions ultimately lead to behavior that's destructive, and then your soul is in a mess until we start doing the work. And we go back to that very first rejection. And that's why being in a meditative place, having a spiritual discipline that we're going to speak about, brings you back to healing and brings you back to your ultimate self, your free self. Other variables can include that mom and dad maybe are busy getting a divorce, or the one is an alcoholic, the other one is in survival mode. One of the things that babies often go through is a mother that has postnatal depression. So they will want the mom, but the mom just cannot show up for herself, let alone for the baby. You know, some babies get born and they are given to the grandparents, or they are given up for adoption. Some get born with very strict parents, so you know that they love you. Everything is provided for, and yet there's something is off. I know these are deep stuff. However, this is the human condition. We are made intricately, marvelously, mysteriously, and this is all part of the human condition. Don't for a moment think that as human beings, we are without suffering. We are devoid of pain. That's not true. That's why all emotions are acceptable. That's why pain is acceptable. It's how we engage with the pain, and it's what we do when we have the pain. So say, for example, you went through trauma in your childhood, which I believe we all did. Some can be trauma with a big T, in the sense that it's a poverty or a racism, or it is a father who abused you or a mother who abused you, an alcoholic parent, no money, survival mode, depression, mental health issues. Maybe you had a parent who is narcissistic, or you had a mother who has bipolar disorder. I know I don't like to say this person has that disorder, because Gabor Mate will tell you that that's a myth, that's not true. It's trauma, and every person in life is healable, because there's nothing wrong with us. We actually already whole. We just have to get back to our wholeness with the tools that I'm going to give you. Well, there's so many, so I'm going to try to give you what I can in the time that we've got left. Small t trauma can be your mom left you at school. She forgot you. She only came to pick you up at 5 o'clock. A belief comes, and it sits in your mind that you're abandoned. They don't care about you. So the moment that this is actually the work of Gabor Mate, the moment that your wife phones you and you're at the airport, it happened to him, and she didn't leave yet, he goes back into that state of, I'm abandoned. He wasn't left at school. Actually, his mom gave him away to a Christian couple because she was busy with, she was busy dealing with a war with the Nazis. And it had an effect on him. He became a brilliant physician. He was very successful. However, he could not show up in the space for his family. He couldn't be a dad who was playful and curious with his children. He couldn't be that compassionate lover and friend and partner. So even though he was very successful, the trauma kept him from living a free life. Often what happens to us as children is we have parents who have their own set of ideas of how this child should be. And it's intergenerational. Children should be seen and not heard. I don't know how many of you have heard that. It's one of the first things the parents, when I do parenting sessions with them, and we have quite a few because they need a few, is that you're not allowed to have that mindset. You have to get rid of everything that you think about parenting, get rid of it, because it's most probably false, and it's most probably going to hurt them, because it's most probably coming from a place of a generation that didn't know. I'm sorry if I'm stepping on toes here. It is what it is. There's enough research to back that up, especially in our day and age today, where kids have challenges that's far beyond what we went through in terms of sociable acceptance, in terms of their device addictions, in terms of their development of their brains. That's just really at a very, very, very slow pace these days, with being exposed to screens so much. That's off the topic. So back to the topic, another small t can be your friend that tells you, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Again, rejection, not good enough. Or it can be that you were bullied, can be that you were mocked, that they made fun of you. I know in my own family, I was made fun of because I had very skinny legs. I still have very skinny legs. You know, nobody said, wow, you can be a model. You've got such beautiful legs like a model. No, they didn't go there. Maybe I would have been on some ramp now. Thank God I am exactly where I want to be. However, the lie of the legs that were so skinny led me to believe that I should rather not even walk. I was so scared they mock me about my skinny legs. Maybe they were saying things behind my back about it. And the belief got so big that I didn't do any sport, nothing. And I didn't believe that my body was beautiful. So all of this has an effect. The small t's, the big t's, trauma has an effect, and then it goes and it sits in our cells. And trauma has a direct effect on our behavior. So if we run to the fridge and we're not really even hungry and we just had that telephone call of our ex-wife or ex-husband, or we go to a glass of wine, I don't know how many of you, maybe after work, you're like, oh, I just want to have a gin, just want to de-stress. Trauma sits in our body, we don't get rid of it, and then we try to cope and we try to use external things to help us to feel better. So in that regard, there's a beautiful teaching of Dr. Ed Smith. He talks about solution-focused behavior. And we should get to a place where we can just really sit with the pain, sit with the emotion, ask the emotion, what do you want to teach me? There's a beautiful exercise I do where I use a little bit of the work of Brandon Bays of the journey, where she would ask, what is the emotion that you feel? And if you had to take the lid off, what do you feel underneath it? And what do you feel underneath it? For me, I ask Holy Spirit, say, this is what I feel. I went through a lot of pain. Last year, the year before that, a big loss. I was sad while I was blow drying my hair. I was sad about it. I said, Holy Spirit, this pain, it's so painful. I know you say all emotions are it's all emotions are acceptable. We can feel it. We have to then go and figure out what is still there, what's still necessary to heal, what lies underneath it. And healing often has a layer like an onion. Sometimes it happens miraculously and you're like, whoa, yes, this is the answer. Sometimes it takes time. For me, at least, with this one specific thing, it's taking time. And it's okay. Okay, so what work can we do pertaining to our body? Sorry, I just want to check the chat. Party wyn, ander hou van twakkies. If it's not either or. Then how do we sit with emotion? We sit with it. We realize, first of all, we realize that I'm busy using stuff, literally using stuff outside of myself to try and fill a void that is inside. And I'm trying to get away from the pain. I'm trying to avoid it. And it's really not a comfortable thing to sit with your pain. I know, because it's hurtful and it's painful. However, that is just the way it is. You have to feel to heal. And then you have to use your breath. Those of you who've had workshops with me where we do the breathing, we do breathing work for an hour long. Just invite Holy Spirit to come and breathe with you. There's lots of breath work out there. There's no reason we can't be healed. There's lots of resources out there. And then when notice self, feel to heal. Rejection power by letting it echo through our thoughts. Yes, Heinrich. And then shaping our identity with doubt and fear. Yes. And that's so true. That's the thing. Sorry, I can't read all the comments now. I just want to get to the tools. And that's so important. Thank you for that comment, because that's what happens then. We have this belief, I'm not good enough. Then we look for the evidence, we find it, we enforce it, and then our thinking goes that way. And that thinking makes us feel so bad. And then when it makes us feel bad or unworthy or not good enough, we don't go and we exercise, we go and we drink, or we go and we eat, we go and we party, we have sex with random strangers. We as human beings now, do drugs and or work, study another degree, ask me, to try and prove. This is the human condition. Now, what do we do? Okay. First, for our body. You know, your body has a whole pharmacy in it. Our bodies are created to be healthy. Our bodies fight off viruses. Our bodies get a scratch or a pain or something, and then it starts to heal. When we have a headache, when we do breathing exercises, we go and we speak to the headache, hear what it's all about. It goes away. However, we live in an age where it's easier to pop pills. So many people are drinking medication. And I'm not against medication, not at all. Biomedical field is very important. Doctors are very important. However, when we start to reconnect with our bodies and we live from a place of connection with our bodies, you'll find that it's less likely that you need all the medication that you do take. Some people really do the work and they heal from cancers just through the crazy, sexy green diet from Kat Kerr, for example. Kat Kerr. There's people that grow into deep prayer and heal. So there are alternatives to medication. One of the things with the body is our muscles, okay? Our muscles within them have a set, it's almost like an endocrine system. Endocrines are responsible for the hormones, okay? So the muscles in them has a pharmacy where whenever they are contracted, they release a protein. And the protein is often referred to as a hope molecule. It's so beautiful, hey? A hope molecule. And it's the hope molecule that actually has little antidepressant molecules that goes into the bloodstream all the way up to the brain. That's why you'll find that people who do exercises and often exercise are more healthy. They are more vibrant. They do look radiant as well because of the contraction of the muscles and the hope molecules that gets released and this natural antidepressant that just flows through their body. So I really want to encourage you, whenever you feel down, go and walk. Whenever you feel down, stand up and do something. Get yourself out there on a small trampoline or on a big hill or go climb something, a mountain, or run into the ocean or run around. It's the way we were created. I have coaching that I do at a high school as well. So it's about 2 times a week I go in there, and it's going to be holiday now for 3 weeks. So this morning already I thought, okay, well, I should book my rebounding for twice a week because I'm not going to be so active walking up the stairs at the school and going to all the classes, doing the workshops, working with the execs and with the teachers and the learners. And so I won't be as active. So already I am conditioning myself or preparing myself because that is being good and kind to your body. Because this body has to be with us for a long time. Okay, so that's the body and the hope molecules. Then, in terms of our soul, one of the big things is gratitude. If we have a mindset that's set in gratitude, we talk about an attitude of gratitude. If we can just start to, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for this, I get to do this, thank you for this. If we can have a mindset where we first go to thankfulness, thank you that this is happening. I wonder what it is going to teach me. Thank you that this is happening. I wonder what it is going to teach me. And this becomes challenging. If you've lost your job, thank you for this. What is it going to teach me? Finding the lesson in something that may be tantamount to pain or suffering. And that's the whole point, in all things. give thanks and rejoice always, and count it pure joy that you're going through things, because it is shaping your character. It's building who you are. The thing is just, if you go and you despise it, you hate that it's happening, you can't believe that it's happening, it's so terrible, it sucks, why did it happen to me? This is so unfair. If you go into that wallowing, then what are you creating? I bet you're creating more of it yourself, because we create our own suffering with our thoughts. Byron Katie is very, very famous for saying, we create our own suffering with our thoughts. So what's the alternative? The alternative is to embrace it, to see it as a challenge, to accept that this sucks and I'm going to make the best of it. How am I going to learn from this? And remember that at any given moment, you can change. You are not defined by what you did this morning. You're defined by this moment. This moment here now defines you. And what you choose in this moment now defines you. And going forward, building on this moment where you choose life, where you choose to think differently. Marissa Peer does a lot of work in the UK with famous athletes and coaches and actors and so forth. And she would often say, tell yourself a little lie, tell yourself a better lie. So I'm not saying fake it until you make it, and I'm not saying that. However, I am saying get a better thought. There's always a better thought than what we had. So gratitude. And when we are grateful, we actually release something that we call immunoglobulin, IG, which is antibodies, which helps us fight off free radicals, and helps us also fight off viruses and stuff. So we are more healthy. And then pertaining to meditation, this is a practice where you become still in your cells every day. For at least 2 minutes, take a pause and become still in your cells. If you can't do 2 minutes, then you have to do 20 minutes, because then you have a challenge. It's also a place where we can give ourselves a butterfly hug. And I love this one personally because I can feel how I'm being kind towards myself, so it incorporates the body as well. And meditation also is a place where you connect through your spirit with your source, with your God, with Holy Spirit, and just sit and be still. So yes, I hope that blessed you. I don't know if anybody has any questions, maybe. And if you have a question, I think you can unmute yourself, because it would be easier than reading the chat.
Okay, I can say something. I had the pleasure and the honor and the privilege to attend one of your workshops. I don't know if you remember me.
Oh, natuurlijk. Yes, Maria, always.
And I can honestly say that was just life altering for me. It was just the best experience in my entire lifetime. And then, because I work in the oncology department, I actually looked after the PET CT. We did all the scans, and then I started chatting to the patients, and the patients that had been coming like for 20 years, and I asked them. There was especially this one chap that had stage 4 melanoma, and he was told he he had 6 months survival. And at that time, there was no cure for melanoma. There was no immunotherapy, there was no chemo, no radiation. And 20 years later, he was still with us. So I asked him, like, what did you do? And he said, well, the first thing was remove all toxic people from his life. And the next thing was meditation.
Well,
That was
sure.
it.
Yeah. Wow.
And most of the patients that I had encountered, those that had stage 4 breast cancers or cervix cancers or something, they had the same meditation, the breathing exercises every day.
Yes.
Gratitude was so important. Like since I did your course, I'm, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful for the sheets, my bed sheets, for everything, for every
Absolutely.
tiny thing. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and then I had this major problem. I don't know if you remember of insomnia, and I used to take every kind of medication possible, and I don't anymore. I have the deepest sleep ever. I've changed careers. I'm now a student again. Life can't be better for me. And it was just because of that experience that I had with you. Um, I can't thank you enough.
You're welcome. Maria, thank you for that feedback. Yes. And it's possible. And that's the thing. If we do the work, we don't stuck in victim mode and we actually exercise, we do breathing, we meditate, and we have a practice of gratitude. And we're grateful for the smallest thing. Every cell in our body, just as every cell in your body went through the trauma, every cell in your body hears when you go, thank you. I'm so grateful. This is so good. This is a good day. This is a really good day. I'm so joyful. You know, every part of our cells responds positively to it. And then our body, our thoughts, and our spirit catches up. And there's someone in the chat that says, wow, thanks. Oh ja, dankie Louis, dankie dat julle is. Yes, so what I would like to do is just before we close, I would just like to give you a little practical example, and it's going to be by short, very short. So if you're ready, I just want you to, wherever you are, and if you feel comfortable, put your feet on the floor flat, and your hands you can either have open, you can just put them on your lap and close your eyes. And as soon as you close your eyes, I would like you to take a deep breath in through your nose and let it all out through your mouth. And another nice deep breath in through your nose and let it all out through your mouth. I want you to, when you breathe out, that you actually make a sound. The louder, the better, because that's how we reset our nervous system. So take a deep breath in and let it all out. And when you breathe in, I want you to really breathe in and think about love and joy and peace. And when you breathe out, I want you to breathe out everything that does not serve you, even if it's the person you just had a conversation with that irritated you or brought you off balance, disaligned you. Breathe it out. Let it go. Just see how it goes from you. And then with your next breath in, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, breathe it in. Make it part of every cell in your body. And let go. Let go what is not yours. Let go what is not yours. And gentleness and self-control. Compassion, breathe it in. And let go everything that does not serve you. Let it go. And in this moment, and while you are breathing and listening to the sound of my voice, just guide yourself through your body, from your toes to your ankles to your calves. Just check in with your body, connect with your body, go all the way up, connect. Maybe you need to relax your shoulders or you feel your jaw is tensed. Relax. Even your tongue, you can just relax in your mouth. Just relax, really relax. You have permission to relax. And if there's any part of your body that feels very tensed or has pain, just breathe into the area. Just breathe lots of love and compassion and kindness into that area. Just acknowledge it without trying to change it or wish it away. Just breathe there. I see you. I hear you. It's okay. We often want to change things, whereas things are just as they are. And then I want you to use your senses. What do you see in front of your closed eyes? Visions, colors, shapes, sizes, shapes. Just let it all go. And what do you hear? Sometimes silence can be so loud. And what do you taste? What do you smell? What do you feel? The touch. Feel in your body. Feel your emotions. What emotions are coming up for you? And there may be a lot. And just tell your emotions, I'll come back to you. And what are you thinking? So many thoughts. Just get that one thought that's really good. Just get that thought. What is the one thing that you thought today that was so good? Get that thought. Put it in your heart. If you don't have such a thought, think of one. This is a good day. It's never too late to change or to heal or to be whole. I am whole. Get those thoughts. Put it in your heart. That deep breath into your heart and breathe in whatever gives you so much joy, whatever you are so grateful for. Breathe that into your heart in this moment and anchor that. Say thank you. And when you're ready, you can find your way back into this space. Maybe you need to pat your eyes a bit just to come back. And that, my dear friends, is a very short meditation where you acknowledge your body, look at your soul, you ask it how it's doing, and you connect with your spirit. So I hope that blessed you. And yes, if you would like more of the resources, then you can let me know. I'd gladly share it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the comments in the chat. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Yaku, for also arranging this, you and Susan, and then for sending it on to people.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Leah.
Tilesia. No, I really appreciate the time that you have spent here. And as I've said in the chat as well, we have a YouTube channel where we put up all these sessions of Gen Well, because it's for us a passion to also share the knowledge that people like yourself have. So please look out for the recording. It will probably be up by later this afternoon.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yaku. Stay well.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Bye-bye, Yella. Bye.
Thank you, Tilesia.
Thank you, Tilesia.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.